Everybody, so I just want to get on here and update a video. Some of you have seen this already. For those of you that are new, I'll just kind of tell you. This event initially was going to be for every couple, but one of the things we run into is a lot of couples truly aren't willing to invest in their relationship, unfortunately, until it's too late. Over the last 8 years as a therapist, I've worked with couples in the most devastating of situations. Starting out in Las Vegas, working with couples where there'd been sexual betrayal. Typically one or both had experienced immense trauma. There was trauma in the marriage, there was anxiety, there was fear, there was anger, there were all these things against them. And they would come in and they'd be willing to put forth the effort to get out of pain, to get out of the hurt and the disconnect that they were in. And what I found in specializing with couples with those types of things is there's two types of couples really. Now, there's those that come in with the same symptoms, the same problems, but the difference is some are willing to do what it takes to heal, like whatever it takes to heal, like they really want it, like they really want, not just to heal and get back to like baseline, but they really want like, I want this connection thing that we don't have anymore. And then there's others who kind of dabble. They'll come to therapy week after week, but they won't do what it takes to change. And unfortunately, a lot of them that I end up seeing have seen other therapists for a long period of time, and they were addressing the wrong issues. They were focusing on the symptom. In therapy, we call it the presenting problem, instead of looking at what the presenting problem created. So for example, if someone comes in with addiction or trauma, like those are things that they have that are affecting them, but how is it affecting them? We're not having sex anymore. We're not feeling safe anymore. We're not connecting anymore. We have anxiety and anger and these reactive emotions, and all these things come up. And so when we focus on just the problem and not the effects of the problem, it often leaves people stuck. And so my job has been to see where people are and what they're missing and go, okay, here's where we want to go. Not just this baseline thing, right? I tell couples this all the time. I say, when we get married, there's things that's expected, right? There's these things like, don't do these things. We call this, in the Rise community, the darkness. Don't cheat on me. Don't lie to me. Don't betray me. Don't do these negative things that hurt our relationship or hurt me. And sometimes people think that's just the baseline. Like, if I can just stop doing these negative things, then we'll be okay. But the truth of the matter is, there's other things that are expected as well. It's an expectation. You will love me. You will invest time and effort into me. You will do positive things that help us have a relationship. So oftentimes couples come in and they go, okay, we have all this negative stuff and we're missing all this positive stuff and we can't even get to baseline of connection. That's what we focus on, is how do we get rid of the darkness and the disconnect? How do we get back to that spot where we're doing positive things? The truth of the matter is, up here, when the positive things are happening, there's not necessarily another level up because our baseline expectation is connection. One of my favorite quotes is this idea, well, I'll just share it with you. My favorite quote around disconnection is, anything less than nurturing is trauma. We are built to have nurturing, built to have connection. And if it's less than that, it doesn't work well for us. And this is where you see couples go into fight or flight. I'll tell you, every couple that's ever come into my office gets in this pattern where fight or flight is ruining the show. Something happens and it signals to my mind that this is dangerous, that this isn't safe. And so I react. Maybe it's anger, maybe it's withdrawal, maybe it's shame, maybe it's whatever. And I do or say something that then my partner, right, the other partner sees, and they run it through their filter and kick into fight or flight. And they might react with shutdown or anger, right? So couples go in this round and around, round and around. Most couples, when they come to me, they can outline what this cycle looks like, but they don't know how to stop it. And then you add negative behaviors that play into it, really hurtful things like addiction or betrayal or these types of things. So this experience, this Reconnect and Rise experience, is not limited to one type of problem. What it is limited to is who you are. Have you been trying? Have you been seeking? Do you truly want to overcome your individual things that affect your marriage? And do you really want to work with your partner to create connection? I don't care what you're facing. Honestly, I don't. I've worked with everything. Nothing scares me. What I don't want to have is people coming who really aren't willing, they're not really wanting to invest. They're kind of okay with where they are, or they're blaming their partner or whatever. Now, I will admit there are times absolutely when the other person is at fault, but you're going to leave it in their hands to fix it without sharing with them what you need. That doesn't work. You two have to learn to work together to help one or the other or both heal. So let me give an example of this. One of the best things I can do is when I work with a situation where, let's say, a husband has offended or had an affair or something, right? That affects the other partner. And so often the idea is like, hey, you go get better and then we'll be okay. Well, guess what? Just not stopping the negative doesn't help you get better. Just doing the positive also doesn't always work, because now there's a wound. Doing positive things doesn't just heal the wounds. We have to learn what those are. We have to address those a specific way. And so without this other partner, let's say the wife in this situation, working with the husband to share what she needs, maybe first for safety, then for trust, then for connection, he's going to guess all day long. And he can come see me, he can go see another therapist on his own. And the truth of the matter is he's going to have a hard time finding out how to be there for her without her voice in it. So this Reconnect and Rise experience is for couples who know that each of them has stuff, okay? I'm going to use this example because I've worked with it so much, but let's say there is that betrayal piece, right? One has done something and the other is hurting because of it. You're both hurting. You're both losing. Disconnection. You're not together. Now, for one person to work on it, that might create some safety. That might seem like, okay, things are getting better. It doesn't necessarily mean you know how to connect, right? There's a good chance that if you work together and learn to connect, it's going to strengthen you both against your individual issues. At least that's been my experience. So as I mentioned before, I've worked with hundreds of couples in the most difficult of situations. And again, this is not just for those couples. You don't have to come here and say, well, this is what our problem is. What I want you to do is I want you to come and say, this is where we are going. I have this stuff in front of me. I have anxiety. She has anger or whatever, vice versa, right? I have this behavior and she has that belief. I don't care what it is. Whatever it is, you identify it. Anger, fear, hurt, sadness, shame, guilt, anxiety, depression, financial issues, sexual issues, parenting issues. You got a chronic illness you're facing. You got extended family issues. You got career problems. You got disease, okay? Whatever it is, the two of you are going to have to learn to face it together. Two individuals together facing something difficult is the only way to help you stay connected. But if you're each facing the same problem alone, you're alone. What's the point of the relationship if you're both facing the hard in life alone? Let me help you come together, help the hearts heal and the disconnect and the trust and whatever's there, and then face the future together. And that's something me and my wife had to learn to do. In my case, it was an addiction. Many of you know that. And it affected her absolutely. Now, this was my issue. This was my stuff. But it affected her. And I had to learn how to be there for her, how to create safety and trust and connection. And she had to learn how to be there for me, how to trust me again, how to be close to me again, right? It's always a journey together. Now, that doesn't mean we didn't have individual work. We did. But one of the cool things you can do is you can support each other in that individual work. What if you can help her heal? What if you can be a source of helping him heal? Isn't that what a relationship is all about? So, again, please do not sign up if you do not want to work on yourself and invest in the relationship. And if you don't want to do those things, that's okay, but you should probably be honest with each other and say, look, I'm not willing to work with you. And actually, in all honesty, I'm okay if you come, if that's your spot. If you're willing to say, I'm not willing to work with you yet, but I will be willing to work with you if some things happen. We can work from that space, honestly. We can work from that space. All that needs to be in place is a willingness to try. I can't guarantee all of you can heal, but I can guarantee that all of you can take steps to get to a better place. I've not seen anything, any situation, and I've seen things that you can't imagine where couples have taken the steps to repair and not just get back to like, okay, but on numerous occasions people say, look, we're better than we ever have been. We didn't come into marriage knowing these things. Nobody taught us. We didn't have this example, and now that we have these things, we won't go back to where we were because we know how to do it. It's just a side note too, on your emotions, like people believe that they're stuck with anxiety or depression. The neuroscience understands this now of how we can start to reduce that and even eliminate it in many cases. And so these beliefs of like, well, I just have anxiety or I just have an addiction or whatever, like, okay, let's say you do. Are you just going to resign yourself to being stuck with that and let it like tear up your life over and over again? Or are you going to learn how to figure that out? How to navigate that in a more healthy way? I've seen people with deep addictions, deep anxiety, okay, deep disconnect, overcome it. And the cool thing is it doesn't have to be a managing of it, right? Like, who chooses to be angry? Like, I think I want to be really angry right now, or I want to feel really highly in fear. We're not choosing to have those emotions. They just come. We now understand why they just come. They're not a conscious choice. They're based in the part of your mind that's running the show. And we can start to change that. The term I like to use is we uninstall the old program and we install the new program. And I'm going to talk a lot about that, this Reconnect and Rise experience. Just real quickly, one of the things you need to know why we call this an experience is I don't want couples that are going to come passively and just take information and not implement it. That's why we do a 2-day event followed by a 4-week experience, a challenge. The challenge is meant to help you go home and do. You will be empowered at this event. You will leave with confidence. We can do this. I can become who I'm meant to be. We can have this relationship we want where it's working in all areas and we know how to maintain it. And then you go home and you start to do. You start to put new patterns in place. Maybe there's some conversations you need to have about repair. We want you to do. The people who do, the people that engage in becoming, get where they want to go. I made the mistake years ago of learning. Look, I became a therapist. The sole goal of me becoming a therapist was to figure myself out. And I would consume and learn. And I remember seeing this therapist and he said, Austin, you know all the answers. Stop reading. Stop going to workshops. Start doing. And this is what he told me. He said, Austin, he's like, for 2 months, I don't want you to read another single thing. All I want you to do is journal, asking yourself what you need to do because you know the answer, and then go do it. Now, this is a hard lesson for a lot of us. We keep consuming more and more information. I'll tell you, a lot of the people I work with, they come in more knowledgeable than I am about their issues, right? With the internet these days, we can go on and like Google and find books and all this stuff. They can explain to me the neuroscience of their issue. They can tell me about their childhood and how that played into that. They have all these insights. What they don't have is knowledge how to get from where they are to where they want to go. That's what I gained that was most valuable. I spent a lot of time learning about my problems, learning about the origin or how they developed. When I started to learn what needs to be done to get where I want to go, to start to shift my brain, to help my heart heal, to help my relationships heal, that changed everything. Now, some of you will say, I know what to do, and I tried, but it doesn't work. Okay? I've even worked with therapists who will say, well, like, if this person just wasn't this way, it would work, right? It's like, well, if they weren't that way, they wouldn't be coming for help. So, because they're struggling with that issue, we have to help them with where they are. We can help you shift. If you feel stuck, I can help you shift out of that pretty quickly. You can get out of hopelessness and depression and fear and beating yourself up into a spot of confidence pretty quickly. And I can teach you how to keep it. How to keep your confidence. The way this happens is you have to have an experience so powerful with yourself that you know who you are. And when those thoughts of shame or limiting beliefs come up, you can't buy them anymore. your brain doesn't buy them anymore because you know in here who you are and what you're capable of. That's one of the best gifts people get in their journey of healing, is they get a clear sense of who they are, that they're not defined by their struggles or their past behaviors. So if this seems valuable to you, many of you I know have been on a long journey like I was, a discouraging journey. I'm not the first therapist you've engaged with. I'm not the first person you've tried to trust. And you've put money and effort into your healing only to find I didn't get where I want to go. Now, this is why we offer 100% money back guarantee for Reconnect and Rise. As a therapist, I don't want to just get your money. I want to help you heal. So I took a year and a half off from practicing to try to find some answers to some deeper level healing and to see if we could do some things more rapidly. Now, I remember some times in my own journey where certain things would happen and always they would mess me up emotionally. And in the progression of things, those same things could happen and it no longer did anything, right? So a lot of us will learn to mindfulness, learn to be mindful and not react to these situations, not react to these emotions that you're feeling. That's cool, but in my progress, what I got to was this point of I'm not managing these emotions anymore, or these reactions, or these whatever. They're just not there anymore. Does that make sense? They're just not there anymore. This thing happened. It used to mess me up. It's happening now, and there's nothing going on for me. I'm not messed up in my body. I'm not stressed out. And I was like, how did I get to that spot? And I spent a lot of time going to different places, looking into neuroscience and the understanding of the brain and the mind, and realized that there's processes that help us shift the way that we see things, the way that we experience things, and all of a sudden, we're not going emotionally to that same spot. Now, some of you have defined yourself by your problems, and I can tell you, your problems don't define you. When you're disconnected from who you are, that's when your problems come up. When you connect to who you are, when you know, in a deep sense, who you are or who you can become, and that you're not stuck forever in where you are, that's when things start to shift. So, whatever you're experiencing, I know this is a blanket statement, whatever you're experiencing, there's a way up. Now, for those of you who are spiritual, who believe in God, who believe in Christ, I will tell you that there's a way to access that power. A lot of us, myself included, was discouraged for a long time. I believe, I have faith, I'm doing these things, why can't I access it? And there were some things that were blocking that, and I'll talk about that at this Reconnect and Rise experience. Okay? Your faith gets tested. Many of us, we believe we're in a war, only on a regular basis we don't actually think the fact that we're in a war, that we're battling for ourselves, for our marriages, for our children. And we've allowed ourselves to become blind to the fact that there's an outside influence trying to mess us up with temptation, with emotions, and those types of things. So, I hope that you'll come. I hope you're the type of husband. Yes, I'm going to talk to you, men. I hope you're the type of husband that's willing to fight for your family. I don't know what you're experiencing. I don't know what struggles you face, and I'm not putting all the blame on you. What I am asking you is, I'd like you to step up and lead in the healing. The cool thing we found, and women, don't use this against him, the cool thing we found in the research, John Gottman did this research, a lot of you know this, men are the key ingredient to relationship healing. It's us, men. We're the key ingredient. Okay? There's things that we can do that change it, and I'll talk about this more, why this is. But in my experience, if a woman does all the right things, she can be the most amazing in the world. It won't necessarily help a husband be better or help the relationship connect. But when a man steps up and he invests himself and he comes to the table with strength and power, when he does that, even if she's not pulling her weight, she will begin to. Okay? I'll explain why that happens at another time. I won't do that here. So what I want you to know is wherever you are, we can go to the top. Okay? I want you to imagine where it can be. Remember when you were best friends, and some of you got married and you weren't. You got married for different reasons, but you're here now, you have kids. What I'm going to tell you is if you're together, why not make it happy? If it's trust, if it's hurt, if it's fear, let's work through it instead of living with it forever. I hope that you'll take the time to invest, and let me show you how to get there. So, what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to click the link below, click the button, go to the registration page and sign up. And then you'll see in the confirmation page, down towards the bottom, there's a few things that I want you to do. Okay, I want you to send me a video of where you guys are, why you want to come, so I know the audience that's there so I can address specific things. Okay, for those of you that fear that you're going to have to be super open and like share your childhood and share all your problems, look, I've been in groups where we've done that, and that can be nice and helpful. We don't need you to do that in a group to help you heal. We just need to help you get where you want to go and have confidence that you can return home knowing the steps to take as a couple. Is this making sense to everybody? I hope that you can sense from me that wherever you are, you can get to a really, really amazing relationship. And it doesn't have to be 3 years from now. It can start getting good now. It can start healing now. I'm going to show you the steps how to do that. Okay? I want you to just take a second and think. What would it be like to have fun in our relationship? For it to be friendly and playful, maybe even flirty? What if we were emotionally, we hear this term a lot, right? Emotional connection, emotional engagement. I want you to think what that is. You know, emotional connection is not all about happiness all the time. Emotional connection is often so much powerful when we're in the difficulties of life and we can connect to someone there in those emotions, right? I've told people before, when life is like all happy, I can do all happy alone. Like, I'm good with that. It's happy. When I need someone, when I need my partner, when I need my wife is when it's difficult. And when she can be there and I can share with her, hey, this is where I'm at, and she can share this is where she is at, together we can connect and rise together, okay? So I want you to think of that. Are we attuned to where each other are, not just happy emotions all the time? Now, I believe when you're connecting, it leads to that happiest place you can be as a couple. I want you to think what it would be like to kind of feel this soul-to-soul bond, right? This often is termed becoming one. Many of you believe in that, but you're not becoming one, or you don't know how to become one. What if you could really become one where you're after the same goal and you're both thinking of each other and like, how can I help this person be their best self? Understanding that like I have the power to influence this person's life for good, and they have the opportunity to influence mine, and together we're going to strengthen each other. And what if that translates into your sexual connection? Okay? What if your sexual relationship wasn't just body to body? What if it wasn't a push-pull of who wants it, who doesn't, but it was a bonding experience where it's like, I want to invest myself with this person, not just share my body, but be there in an experience of connection. What would that be like? Is that worth the investment? And what if the two of you were confident? What if you could set an example for your kids of what a happy relationship looks like? What if they grew up going, moms and dads can be really happy. They can face hard things together. And even if it gets difficult, they can heal. They can repair. Isn't that what we want for ourselves and for our kids? And the truth of it is a lot of us didn't get that example. So we can change that. I've made this experience really affordable. As a therapist, I charge $175 for one session. That's for 50 minutes. This experience is $250 per couple for the whole event and the challenge. Why, Austin? Why? So I remember several years back, me and some of you may know him, Kevin Skinner at Addo Recovery. We were doing these couples intensives, and we could only see 4 couples at a time. And we had couples flying from across the United States. We had a couple come from Canada, from Norway. And what part of the frustration of it was we could only help a limited amount. Now, these couples would pay $2,500 each to come in for 3 days, and we would help them to the best of our ability. And they would have a lot of change in benefits, but then they'd go home with nothing after. Okay. And I was kind of discouraged. I was like, look, like, I want to help more people. There's got to be a way where we can help more people more effectively than me having to work one-on-one and you working one-on-one and just this limited thing that happens in all of therapy, right? So as I mentioned, I left my practice a year and a half ago. We moved to St. George, and I traveled, going to everything I could find, different seminars, workshops, trainings, books, audiobooks, right? These different things, podcasts, trying to find out what do we know, what are we missing, and where is it? And what I can tell you is there's answers out there, and they're pretty new, to be honest. I remember walking out of this one training with a therapist friend of mine, and I said, I would trade my master's degree and everything else I've learned for this. If I understood these things earlier on, I could have helped other people much more effectively. And the cool thing is now, I can do that to a larger group of people. Okay? The things you're going to experience and learn here are the key to changing, healing, shifting, growing. The main thing we're after is a deep experience with yourself that helps you see clearly who you are and who you can become, giving you the confidence to know the relationship you can create and who you can be as a man or woman, a husband, a wife, a father, a mother, how you can provide for your family, how you can engage in healthy ways. If this seems appealing to you, again, please register. Once you get that registration confirmation page, please take the time to send me an email or a video letting me know where you are, what you want to accomplish, and come to the event. I didn't mention one more thing is we do offer a 100% money back guarantee. We want you to get what you need. We're confident, I'm confident, that you will get what you've been missing here. You deserve love and closeness and no more misery and disconnection. And for those of you that are doing well, you know someone who's not. Have the courage to let them know that this is available for them. And come yourself. Like, there's always a next level. That's what's cool, is we're not focusing just on the struggle. We're focusing on the principles of healthy living, successful connection. So really, any couple can benefit and go to the next level. The couples this isn't for, it's the couples that don't really want to invest. I've done that work. Week after week, people come and they learn and they have this nice learning experience, and then they go home and they do nothing. And then they come back the next week. And I go, how was the week and what'd you do? And they're like, the same, we didn't do anything. Okay, I didn't want to do that. If you're ready to work, there's answers, there's a path. You will have to do some things, but part of it is the experience you have here that I can't create in 50 minutes a week. The cool thing, this is the analogy, sorry, just another minute here. Most people will come in and they'll share like their forest of problems. And they might pick from week to week, like, here, let's work on this tree. This one tree is my problem, right? And so we focus on that tree, or they want to focus on that tree, and it's like you take an axe to that tree for like 50 minutes, and you may or may not cut it down. And then the next week you come in and you talk about another tree. And, I used to think there was the idea of like, let's find the one tree that if we knock that one over, it's going to knock the others over. The reality is there's a root system. There's a core thing that typically governs the progression towards all our problems, whether they're personal or relationship. It tends to bleed into all areas of our lives. When we find that piece and we eliminate it, we uninstall it and we reinstall something else. We pull out that weed, we plant in a new one, whatever analogy you want. When we do that, it shifts everything fairly rapidly. This isn't about new communication skills. This isn't about negotiating skills. This isn't about learning to take a time out during your discussions. This is about becoming who you are meant to be, living with confidence, knowing that you are capable, knowing how to engage in positive ways that bring the connection you want, knowing how to not get stuck in your emotions that lead to your behaviors. Okay? And it's all combined in one. It's worth it. Make the effort. Come. Share it with your friends. I hope to see you soon. And if you have any questions, you can find our contact info and send me an email or give me a call. Bye.